Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Amy. I'm a mum of 2 boys and really happen to love books. So if you want to see more from me on my cozy little corner of the internet, then please consider subscribing. It would be amazing to have you here. It's time to do my April wrap up. So I haven't done as well as I thought I would, but I have just started a new job. I've got a lot of life changes going on at the moment, so I still feel pretty proud of myself that I managed to read anything, let alone 4 books. A lot's been going on. I'm finally starting to feel a bit more like myself again, and you know, I was very down for the first few months of 2025, and I feel like I'm starting to get my spark back, which is such a nice feeling. There are still a few more things that I want to do, but my reading is slowly creeping up to where I want it to be again, so fingers crossed I can read a bit more every month now. We are currently on the 4th of May and I haven't read anything yet, but I'm hoping that if I read like a few short books, that will get me back into the swing of things. So shall we jump into all the books that I read in April? So even though I didn't read that many books, I'm still going to go over my Storygraph statistics. So in April I read 4 books totaling 1,354 pages. Moods were tense, emotional, mysterious, dark, adventurous and funny. I read 1 fast-paced and 3 medium-paced. I read 1 book that was over 500 pages, 1 book less than 300 pages, and 2 books in that 300 to 500 page bracket. Genres: romance, horror, fantasy, LGBTQ, thriller, mystery, literary and historical, all physical books, and my average rating was 4.31 stars, which is pretty good considering I only read 4 books. So I didn't have anything under a 3 star, which I think is pretty good going. I had 1 3.75, 1 4 star, 1 4.5 star and 1 5 star read. So yeah, I think that is pretty good going. I know it's only 4 books, but I'm slowly getting back into the swing of things, so that's pretty good for me. So let's actually jump into all the books that I read in April. So the first book I read is actually the 3rd book in a series, and it is Onyx by Rebecca Yarros. This was the 3.75. This is probably I think this is my least favourite. There were some elements that I really enjoyed, but there's just some, like most of it just didn't make sense to me. I felt like there were too many characters that we had to learn about. In Iron Flame, which is the 2nd book in the series, I felt like that was a lot of dumping of what information was missed in 4th Wing and just put into a book, but there were some very redeeming qualities of Iron Flame that I really liked. This was just pure confusion. But there were some elements of the book that I enjoyed. Like I still love Violet, the FMC, as a character. I think she is amazing. Her and Xaden's relationship, how they would basically just go to the ends of the earth for each other. But there are boundaries that their society and their leadership have put on them. I admire them. I admire them as a couple, a fictional couple, I should say. But I felt, by the time I finished this book, I felt confused. I did not feel at peace with the ending because it was definitely on a cliffhanger. I was just really confused. I didn't know what to think. So I landed on a 3.75, and I hope books 4 and 5 kind of redeem it, because I'm not going to lie, this was a little bit disappointing considering how chunky it is and how much of a hit 4th Wing was. But I think Rebecca Yarros has been put under a lot of pressure because 4th Wing was such a big hit to, you know, churn out all these books when they're not necessarily polished enough to be released, in my personal opinion. But yeah, this is my least favourite out of the 3. Now, on a better note, these 2 books were I've actually changed my rating of one of them. I originally gave this one 4.5 stars, but I'm now going to change it to 5 because I cannot stop thinking about it. It's Victorian Psycho by Virginia Feito. This is basically American Psycho, but from the viewpoint of a woman, and it's set in the Victorian period. We follow Winifred. She goes by Winnie, and she has applied to become a governess for this very rich and very well-known family in the area in Victorian England. But it turns out there is a reason, a very specific reason, why she has applied for this particular job with this particular family. And the book is counting down to Christmas Day or Christmas Eve, where a very monumental, catastrophic event happens. And it is because of Winifred's murderous tendencies, shall we say. This was a roller coaster. I absolutely loved it. It is very, very short. I think it's just under 200 pages, and this packs so much punch. I've seen mixed reviews about it. I think it's because it incorporates a lot of humour in it as well. There are some like witty, humorous remarks, and in a book that's supposed to be really dark and, you know, quite graphic, I can see why some people have given it lower ratings, but I think it fit really, really well. The reason why I gave it 4.5 stars originally is because it does explore some themes which did make me feel quite uncomfortable. I did read this and another book in a Women Losing It reading vlog. If you want to watch that, I'll put that up above and down below. But yeah, this was amazing. And if you like funny, witty horror books, if you have a very dark sense of humour, I would definitely recommend this. This next one is probably my best read of the year so far. I cannot stop thinking about this book, and I gave it 5 stars as soon as I finished it, and it is Hungerstone by Kat Dunn. This is a Carmilla retelling, so it is a sapphic vampire romance. And our main character, Lenore, her and her husband, Henry, I believe he's called Henry? Yes. They've been married for 10 years with no sign of having any children. They have tried for years to have children with no success, and it is really starting to grate on their marriage, and their marriage is very, very rocky. So Henry gets a career opportunity which allows them to move to this very big manor house in the country in England, but it's got a lot of work that needs doing to it, and there is a countdown for this big event that Henry and Lenore have to host. But on the way to the mansion, they find a lady caught in the rain, and she's unconscious. So they decide to take her back to their mansion and put her in one of the rooms that is already functioning. And once she wakes up, they notice some very, very strange behaviour and some very strange things that keep happening while Carmilla is around. And there is a lot of different themes explored in this book. There's misogyny and how women are seen as less in society. They're just kind of shoved under the carpet. You know, how lies are shoved under the carpet by very rich Victorian upper class men. This is a very, very good commentary on the social norms in this time period, and I absolutely adored this book. And the ending, even though I expected it, I knew it was coming, it was a predictable ending, but I was still wowed nonetheless, and I absolutely adored this book, and it is definitely one of the best books I have read this year so far. And the last book I read, I actually finished this the last day of April, so I just squeezed this in by the skin of my teeth. I finally decided to read ACOTAR, so A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I will be doing a full reading vlog on the whole series. I don't get the hype. I really don't. I ended up rating it 4 stars just because I was entranced by the last 150 pages. I was dying to know what happens at the end of this book. But the overall storyline, I did find myself a bit bored. One of my best friends actually read this before me, and she said that she did struggle. She found herself getting quite bored up until about halfway through. And I followed in the same footsteps. So if you are unaware of the storyline of this book, we follow Feyre, and she lives with her 2 sisters and her father in a very rundown cottage after her father basically blundered all their money and their mother has unfortunately passed away. And Feyre has basically took it upon herself to look after her family. So she's the one who goes out hunting. She's the one who sells all the wares that she manages to hunt and gets some extra money that gets spent on the household. And one day when she's out in the woods, she actually ends up shooting a very, very large wolf with yellow eyes. And it actually turns out that she has just shot a fairy, which her kind hate. So she is a human and she's ended up shooting a fairy. And then another fairy knocks on their door in the middle of the night. So knocks on the door, basically breaks the door down and said, "You've killed one of my men. I need you to come back with me as part of a treaty that the humans and the fairies have." So Feyre ends up going back with a fairy named Tamlin to his house, and she has to stay with him forever. She then finds out that Tamlin and his staff at his house, because he ends up being a High Lord of one of the courts in this land, she finds out that they're under a curse. So Feyre actually takes it upon herself to see if she can find a way to break this curse. Definitely got Beauty and the Beast vibes from this. I just didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would. I'm still going to continue with the series just because I have it on my bookshelf, and it would be good to see if any of the books get any better. From what I have heard, A Court of Mist and Fury and A Court of Silver Flames are 2 of the better books. So books 2 and books 5, I've heard that they're the better books out of the series. So hopefully I enjoy myself a little bit more than I did with this. I really hope so, because otherwise I'm going to be a bit sad. So those were all the books that I read in April. I know it wasn't a big amount, but I still wanted to document it and film about it because it's what I love doing. And I hope you guys enjoy watching these videos as well. But yeah, I hope you guys have really enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to hit subscribe if you haven't already and you want to see more from my channel. And I will see you very soon in the next one. Bye!